All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Waharakwakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the other bishops, and the elders of the great millstone. And peace and salutations to the hopeful elect out there toiling in his truth. And shalom to the few sisters, the Aquathium, that listen and learn in silence. To all of you, I say shalom. I'm the brother Pathaka Moth, GMS Dallas. I'm just coming back at you with a really quick hit lesson, man. Really quick. It's going to be really quick and to the point. And, just going into, as you can see on the screen, I got this video put up by the amazing Lucas, and he's just going into, as you can see in his title, white people are getting the black experience. You know what I'm saying? Which at the end of the day, what that really is the curses being taken off of the nation of Israel, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent, and being put on these other nations, primarily the Edomites, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, woman, and child, man. And really what this is spawning from or stemming from, which I think he's going to go into it, is what it's stemming from is another shooting in Minneapolis. And, of course, first it was the white woman. Now there's a so-called white man that's been shot and killed by these ICE agents, man, which, yeah, hey, bro, the white privilege is done, which is an indicator that this man's kingdom is over. Esau is through. We're at the end of this devil's kingdom. Hell, 2026, this could be the year, man, of our deliverance. But as Apostle Tahar stated, it could be 2026, maybe 2027. Even if it's 2027, we're there, man. We're here. This is it. It could very well be this year, but hey, could be 2027. But any two ways, you can clearly see it. This is it. This is over, man. The economy is about to collapse. All hell is about to break loose. You're already seeing uprisings and all these things going on in the earth. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be a madhouse real soon, bringing to pass all the prophecies that the brothers have been breaking down, starting with Apostle Tahar, our apostles, our elders, our teachers, on down, even prior to them, their teachers, all the way back to Abba Bivens, King Masha, a high priest, elder high priest Yaiquab, elder high priest Ariah, all of these men, that even our apostles learned from. You know what I'm saying? So these things have been being said for many, many years, decades, man. You know what I'm saying? So we're there. We're in the times, man. This is it, and you can clearly see it, man. You can see Revelation 17 in full effect, where these allied nations of America are turning on them. You know what I'm saying? Trump is pissing everybody off, So it's on, man. We're there. This is it. This devil kingdom is over. It's through. The kingdom of Israel, beginning to start with our big brother Yahweh Shai, under him King David, is at hand, man. Then the 12, then the 144, then the 1/3, then the 2/3, because all of them are gonna come back through the elect. Lord willing, I can be a part of the first that first resurrection. That's what we're fighting for. And, of course, the 2/3 going to come back through them, bring to pass Romans 11 and 26, and all Israel shall be saved. Then, of course, from there, the heathen nations, are going to be, even the 2/3 going to be good, man, in the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, but you can clearly see we're there, man. These things, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, like the scriptures say. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to make this too long. Real quick, I'm going to play this a little extra, about a minute or so, of the amazing Lucas. So he going to say a few things, and which is very true. And then we're going to get into a real quick, a couple of scriptures just to back the point, of what this really is, man. But before I do that, let me put this disclaimer up. Salakia, real quick. Let me put this disclaimer up. I want to put this copyright disclaimer up, and let that appear for a few seconds, so these devils can't hit me with a strike, because it's clearly a copyright disclaimer right here before I ever play the video. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have to run across this, so they can't give me a strike or anything before I play this. So without any further ado, let's I'm probably gonna have to go back and refine that video. Let's see. Oh no, it's still there. Okay, I'm gonna play about a minute of this, and then we're gonna get into some scriptures.
It looks like white is the new black.
Let's start.
It looks like white is the new black.
There it is.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sure many of you guys are aware, unless you've been living under a rock, that ICE has taken down another American, another white American. Just want to point that out. The first one was a white woman, and this individual was a white man, I believe to be an RN. And it seems, as I said in the intros, that white is the new black. So what I will be doing as a service to the people, the American people, I will be doing a world tour, okay? I will be starting off in Minneapolis and just traveling the states. And what I will be doing is trying to help white people, in this transitional phase of their newfound blackness, just to help them to assimilate a little bit more, because this is how this administration is treating y'all. Damn. Now, I don't mean to make light of the situation, but I think they're losing their minds right now. That's what's happening. All this, white privilege and all that is gone to the wayside. Now you are the new black, okay? They are now treating you like they treat black men and black women. And I know that you're...
And that's pretty much the point. That's all I needed. You can go and look him up if you want. And, he does pretty good videos, man. He's entertaining. I like watching him. Actually got him from the beloved elder Malcolm in Chicago, the water to the elder. Yeah, man, they're now being treated like a so-called black men and black women, so-called. There is no such thing as black men and black women, just like there's no such thing as white men and white women. They're actually red and we're actually brown. So, it is what it is, but, we'll entertain it. So, but without any further ado, let's get into some scriptures, because here is what's actually happening. Here is what this is. First of all, we'll just get Revelation, the 19th chapter. Real quick. As a matter of fact, let me take my parallel off, Salakia. And we'll get Revelation, the 19th chapter. And we'll read verse 10. And it reads, Revelation 19:10, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. So, and that's what's going on, man. It's all prophecy. When you read as a matter of fact, we'll get it. He's saying the same thing as his father. This is Isaiah, the 55th chapter. And we're going to jump down to verse 11. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So the words of the Lord, man, which is what? Prophecy. And we're at that point, man. When you read in the Habakkuk, I'm going to try to just skim through this and go pretty, bring it to, we're going to try to get on through this. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter and verse 3, it reads, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And those visions are the prophecies which Yahushua, the spirit of, which was spoken by the Lord, which is not going to return to him void. That's what's going on. As a matter of fact, let's get that one in Ezekiel, the 12th chapter. This is Ezekiel 12 and 21, I believe. We start at verse 21. Ezekiel 12 and 21. And the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shah, came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth? Hey, we just read in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, though it tarry, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not tarry. Come on, man. You got to follow these prophecy, these visions. It says, verse 23, tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai power, I will make this proverb to cease. And that's exactly the times we're in. You're starting to see these things. Everybody is starting to see it. Soon you're not going to have, just like Elder Yahshua says, You ain't gonna have no wiggle room to all these groups that's wayward right now, erring, tripping. They took the bag or whatever. Ain't gonna be no wiggle room soon, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we're here. Tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord, power, Yahweh Shem Shai power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel. But say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision. So that's where we're at. We're at the effect of every vision. You clearly see the MOT to the B. You clearly see World War III, Armageddon, Armageddon in the Hebrew, you know, which is the end of this man's society, man. You're clearly starting to see. If you can't see it, hey, the Lord, you're just on a rock. Lord has them blinders on you, you know, which is some of it, as you know, the majority of our nation, that's where they're at. But for those who can see, we clearly see these things. You know what I'm saying? You know, the end of this double, man. 2nd Ezra 6:9 is at hand. Esau is the end of the world, but Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. You know, and we're at that point, man. So real quick, you know, the prophecies, the visions, they're happening. That's what's happening. That's why right now these so-called self-proclaimed white people are being treated like the so-called blacks, the ends. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're the new ends. You know, and here's why. You know, which is all prophecy. When you read in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, the Lord told us if in verse 1, Deuteronomy 28:1, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, thy power, which we didn't do. We didn't do that. So we didn't go into these blessings, which goes into a list of blessings, you know, fruitful body and you know, everything working for us. Just a whole lot of beautiful things right here, all the way down to verse 14. We didn't listen. So we had to receive of the consequences of disobedience, as you see in the heading right there. Verse 15 to 68, Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, thy power to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And then it goes into all these terrible things that will come upon us if we didn't listen. And this is what we've been in. You know, we haven't been in 1 through 14. We've been in 15 through 68. You know, but it's set up real quick. Let's jump over to chapter 30 and verse 1. This Deuteronomy 30:1. And it reads, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, thy power, hath driven thee. So the blessings and the curses were set before us. We didn't hearken, so we got the curses. So guess what? Who got the blessings? Esau. When you go back to Genesis, the 27th chapter, you know, he cried, you know, bless me, oh Father, bless me, you know, crying and shit. So Isaac blessed him with the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven. Same, if you read up, the same thing that Jacob is going to receive. You know what I'm saying? So Esau received that blessing because he cried. And these are the times we're in. We're in his blessing right now. It was a temporary blessing because he cried, you know. So it was never meant to last forever. Although, you know, Psalms 49 tells you that they thought that their houses was going to last or for, you know, basically last forever. I'm, you know, roughly paraphrasing. I'm not quoting it right. But Psalms 49, I believe in verse 13, you know, that they thought that their houses was going to continue forever, man, you know, from generation to generation. But as you can see, the curses don't lie. You know, the things written don't lie, man. It don't matter what you think. What's written is what's going to happen, you know. So we're in the times of, let's go back to Deuteronomy 28. And, you know, we've been under 15 through 68. And as a matter of fact, before I want to make this point, one of the things One of the key things in the curses is slavery, captivity, verse 68. Of course, the Lord said in verse 64 that he was going to, as a matter of fact, let's just jump down there. He was going to scatter us among all these heathen nations from one end of heaven to the other. Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord Yahweh Shai shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And that scattering was going to be by way of ships, which was the transatlantic slave trade, which started in 1492. For those who don't know, it started with the Northern Kingdom, man. Deuteronomy 28, which lines up. That's that 500 plus years. It lines up, man. You know what I'm saying? Deuteronomy 28:68, it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Egypt represents bondage. When you go into Exodus, the 13th chapter, and many other chapters, it tells you that Egypt is the house of bondage. So it represents bondage, which is slavery, captivity, man. It says that we were going to go into Egypt again with ships. Now, this has to be talking about something else, because we walked into the land of Egypt when we were in the land over there. So why would we need ships? Because we were going to go to spiritual Egypt. When you read in Revelation, the 11th chapter in verse 8, it tells you, and their dead bodies shall lie in the great city spiritually known as Egypt, Sodom and Egypt. So that's the Egypt that it was talking about, which is right here in America, man. It says, and the Lord Yahweh Shai shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, which that happened, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Talking about the land of Israel, which we haven't, proving that these words are faithful and true, just like the scriptures say. And there ye shall be, talking about right, in all those places we were scattered, primarily here in America. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen, women, Salakia, bondmen, slave men, and bondwomen, slave women. And no man shall buy thee. When you go into that word buy, it's redeem. It don't mean literally nobody bought us. No, it means that no one is going to redeem us. Only the Lord is going to do that. So those things happened. This is part of the curses, which these things are now being transferred to these heathen nations, primarily these Edomites, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, woman, and child. There will be another slave trade. They going into slavery as well. But I want to make this point real quick. In verse 65, it says, it's Deuteronomy 28:65, and it reads, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and a sorrow of mind. Verse 66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. Jake has been under that. Now these devils are coming under this. This is why now that white privilege is over, man, because these curses are now falling upon them, which it says in Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, which this will be the last scripture. Then I'm going to bring this lesson to a close, because that's the point. This Deuteronomy 30:7, and it reads, and the Lord Yahweh Shai, thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So that's why these devils are now, like the amazing Lucas said, are the new ends, man. They're the new blacks on the planet, man, and they're receiving that black experience, so-called black, that black experience, man. You know what I'm saying? Because of what we just went through. The prophecies, the words of the Lord being spoken and written, which now they're playing out. And the curses, we've been under them. Now we're coming out of the curses. Won't be fully out of them until Yahushua returns. Like the scriptures saying, it's either in Revelation, the 21st chapter or the 22nd chapter, where it says, and there was no more curse. That's when they're going to fully be off of us. But the only ones that's going through the curses, like that is the 2/3, man. The elect and 1/3, the remnant that's returning. The curse is not affecting them like they're affecting the 2/3. 2/3 are still through. They still gonna be getting put to death, which is all part of the curses. You know what I'm saying? Which is not going to be happening to the elect. Of course, there's martyrs, You know what I'm saying? But that's not the same. That's not the same thing, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, at the end of the day, the curses are coming off of Jake, and they're being put on the nations, primarily these Edomites, and that's what's going on, and that's why you're seeing these white people getting laid down now, man. And it's gonna get worse, man. You know what I'm saying? They're dying of drugs. You know, the drug epidemic that started out with Jake back in the day, like during the time of what's that character that Denzel Washington played? I can't remember the character, but in that movie American Gangster, you know, during a time when Jake was strung out on drugs and dying from drug overdoses and stuff, you know, which was us fully under the curses. That's not happening. You don't see a lot of. When the last time you heard or seen of a so-called black, Hispanic, or Native Americans dying of drugs, drug overdoses? It's happening on a small level. Don't get it twisted. I know that, but I'm saying it used to be a big thing. It was almost shit. It probably was an epidemic. As a matter of fact, it was an epidemic. It was a large scale. Now it's minute, and back then you weren't hearing of so-called white people, but now you do. It's like it's full scale so-called whites dying of fentanyl and all these drug overdoses, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's the curses, and the Lord's word not coming back to him void, man. That's the curses on them, man. So that's what's going on, and I just want to bring those points out and make that point. I saw that and scripture started coming to me and hit me, and I didn't write anything down. I just turned the camera on, and this is what we got. So Lord willing, it was edifying to the hopeful elect, which I hope to be a part of. I brought Sabak Shah. With that, giving all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of the great millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect, the house of David, the Bayath Shah Dawadat Shalom.